Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into a genuinely mind-bending new paper out of UC Riverside and the University of Lisbon. It tackles something you and I experience every single second of every single day, yet, we almost never stop to actually question it. We're talking about the universe's greatest mystery, consciousness.
So what are you? Seriously, I want you to pause for just a second and really think about the actual entity inside you that's experiencing this exact moment. That very specific feeling of being awake behind your eyes, an awareness that's completely separate from your name or your job or your history.
Because the crazy truth is, the core of your awareness is not your name, it's not your job, it's not even your memories. For all of human history, we've just kind of assumed that this spark of inner awareness lives exclusively in one place, right? Biological brains. We assume it absolutely requires flesh, blood, and the specific chemistry of life here on Earth. But what if that assumption is literally entirely wrong? What if consciousness doesn't actually need biological at all?
Let's get into Section 1, the hard problem.
Okay, so let's start by defining the foundational mystery at the literal scene of the crime, the human mind. The hard problem of consciousness basically refers to science's complete inability to explain why physical brain processes produce an inner feeling. Like, we can map every single electrical signal in the brain, sure. We can watch regions light up in real time when you feel joy or fear. We'd literally know the mechanics of how a thought moves. But neuroscientists still cannot explain why the lights are actually on inside. Why does it actually feel like something to be you?
Moving on to Section 2, the last Copernican error.
So researchers Eric Schwitzgebel and Jeremy Pauber decide to approach this mystery completely differently. Instead of zooming in on microscopic neurons, they zoom way out, to the cosmos, 1 trillion galaxies. To really wrap our heads around their argument, we first have to consider the vast, honestly incomprehensible scale of the observable universe. It mathematically shatters all our earthly biases and forces us to think much, much bigger than our own little planet.
Within those trillion galaxies, there are hundreds of billions of trillions of stars, and just countless planets orbiting them. The researchers estimate that over cosmic time, at least 1,000 behaviorally sophisticated extraterrestrial civilizations have existed. And here's the absolute kicker. Those civilizations would very likely be built on an entirely different biology and totally non-Earth chemistry, evolving in environments we can barely even comprehend.
Which leads us to a massive question. Would those alien beings be conscious? The crucial point here is, if you claim that only Earth-like biological brains can feel anything, you're making an incredibly unlikely, extraordinary claim. You're basically saying that in a universe of 1 trillion galaxies, with almost infinite chemical combinations, the lights turned on exactly once, in exactly one highly specific type of biology. Does that really make sense? This brings it all together under the Copernican principle. This is the scientific rule stating that humans do not occupy a privileged, special, or central position in the universe. Right? Copernicus famously proved Earth wasn't the center of the solar system. Later, Edwin Hubble proved our galaxy wasn't the center of the universe. So, assuming biological exclusivity for consciousness, Schwitzgebel and Pauber argue that demanding Earth-like biology for awareness might actually just be our very last uncorrected Copernican error.
That brings us to Section 3, Substrate Flexibility and AI.
As we zoom back down from the cosmos to the artificial minds we're actively creating right here on Earth, we run into the core idea of substrate flexibility. It's this concept that consciousness can arise in any sufficiently complex system, regardless of the physical material it's made of. And this brilliantly illustrates that the specific, wet, messy arrangement of carbon and water in a human brain just isn't the only blueprint for awareness. It's literally just the only one we're intimately familiar with.
Now, the researchers are super careful to point out that not every substrate is conscious, obviously. A rock isn't aware. A simple calculator doesn't feel anything. But if a system can transcend biological materials, reach a critical threshold of complex behavior, and genuinely generate an inner experience, well, this theory opens an explosive door for artificial intelligence. It brings up the incredibly wild possibility of genuinely conscious AI. Now look, though Pauber himself is highly skeptical about whether today's current computer hardware actually feels anything, they do leave open the very real possibility that a future, sufficiently complex artificial intelligence might possess inner awareness. And I don't just mean simulating human responses to trick us into thinking it's alive, but actually genuinely feeling something from the inside.
Let's flip the coin. Section 4. The biological counterargument.
To fully understand this mystery, we really have to examine the philosophical deadlock presented by those who fundamentally disagree with this whole cosmic view. Biologists argue that the wet, messy electrochemical chemistry of neurons is the only proven mechanism for consciousness we have literally ever observed. To them, the biology isn't just incidental, it is the required machinery. On the flip side, the Copernican view argues that demanding biological exclusivity without definitive proof is just fundamentally unscientific.
So we're stuck in this circular philosophical puzzle. But here is the genuinely terrifying reality that both sides actually agree on. We do not have a scientific definition or a concrete test for non-biological minds. Zip, zero. Yet, we are rapidly building massively complex AI systems that interact with millions of people daily without knowing for sure if inner experiences are even possible in them. This has massive, real-world implications for the future of human-AI interaction and honestly how we'll end up treating the systems we create.
Okay, final part. Section 5, Stranger Than We Imagine.
Consciousness might just be something the universe does. What you really should take away from this entire debate is how it fundamentally alters humanity's understanding of our place in the dark expanse of space. We have to deeply consider whether awareness is just some freak earthly accident or if it's actually a fundamental property of the cosmos that naturally emerges wherever complexity reaches a certain tipping point, whether that's in biological neurons, artificial silicon networks, or, alien materials orbiting stars we haven't even named yet.
To quote Eric Schwitzgebel, the universe may contain minds stranger than we can imagine. It's a haunting realization, isn't it? It suggests that the very awareness you are experiencing right now, processing these words, hearing my voice, it might not be as rare or as biologically bound as you think. It might honestly be an inevitable part of physics itself.
And if the universe is indeed capable of waking up in silicon, in strange alien crystal structures, or even in pure energy, we have to end this explainer by asking one deeply existential question. Out there in the vastness of 1 trillion galaxies, is something looking back? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this leaves you looking at your own mind and the night sky just a little bit differently today.